what most people think about is traditional publishing. And when I say traditional publishing, you typically have a manuscript or a proposal, and you have to find a literary agent who will then shop you to a publishing company. And if you can land that deal, the publishing company will say, Andrew, we think your message is so amazing that we're going to spend 100% of our money to get your book artfully, creatively developed and packaged and published. But to do that, you're going to have to assign your publishing rights to us.
Welcome to Business Ninjas, brought to you by WriteForMe, where you'll hear from business leaders who are out there growing their business and slaying it every day. Learn from the masters. Let's get started.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of Business Ninjas. I'm here today with David Welday, president of HigherLife Publishing and Marketing. David, how are you today?
I'm doing well, Andrew. How are you?
I am good, thank you. Appreciate you spending some time with us here on Business Ninjas. Please tell us a little bit about yourself and about HigherLife Publishing and Marketing.
Well, publishing was something that I never planned to get into. I kind of fell into it. I started off my career in direct response marketing for magazines. And so I really started off in magazine publishing. I'd be the guy that created those obnoxious cards that fall out of your magazines when you buy one at the newsstand. And so I did magazine marketing, and then I was tasked with launching a curriculum publishing company. And so I went from creating promotions to products. And in that capacity, I was creating much more interactive, inventive programs, mostly for churches that would help young people, high school, elementary, sort of capture their faith and life. But I really enjoyed the curriculum development, the product development side of things. And we had some great success there doing some very innovative programs that involved multimedia things. And then because that curriculum division prospered and did well, I was then tasked to take over a book publishing group. And so then I did that. And at the time I joined the company or started with this division, I think we had one imprint and we're doing about 15 titles a year. And that grew to about 4 imprints and 115 titles a year. And so after that, I decided I've always kind of had an entrepreneurial itch to scratch. And so I hung out my own shingle and started, I saw that the publishing landscape was changing. And so I felt like there were some opportunities to do some innovative things in that area. And so that's when I started HigherLife Publishing and Marketing about 2004.
2004. That was my next question.
Okay.
And what sort of verticals are you servicing with this company? Who are your clients?
So I would define our highest and best clients are people, service providers, oftentimes, I would say professionals. So if you're a coach or a counselor or an attorney or a financial planner, and all of your competition are handing out business cards or flyers or inviting you to dinners, and you put a book in their hands. So if you're a financial planner, say, I got a book for you on 52 ways to retire early. That just brands you as a thought leader and positions you properly. And so we work with a lot of professionals who have specific insights that they want to share. And a book is a great way to do that. So professionals would be sort of one of our target audiences. Pastors would be another, because most shepherds of a church have a signature message that they would love to see get traction beyond just their local congregation. And so we do a lot of books for pastors who have what they see as a life-changing message. Small business entrepreneurs, business owners and entrepreneurs, people who have come up from nothing and become successful, and they want to share either their story or impart to their employees or to their clients, here are the values that we've built this business on. And so I would say entrepreneurs, and then executive directors of nonprofits, because again, if you're in the business of helping people, and you want to attract donors and other people to what you're doing, you've got some incredible stories to share. So I would say our primary audience would be executive directors of nonprofits, small business owners, pastors, and professionals.
Excellent. And what are the most common problems you're solving for these clients?
It's kind of a wide range. There are some people who they've just felt for years that they're supposed to write a book, and they've always wanted to write a book, but it seemed daunting. They didn't know how to do it. It's kind of like they say, how do you eat an elephant? And the answer is one bite at a time. And so we can come along and make the process simple, clear, and give them some direction on how to get their message, their story out. So that's one way that we really help. But a lot of people, it's interesting. They're not wanting to be an author because they want to be the next J.K. Rowling's, or they're not looking to be a best-selling author, but they understand that being the author of a book still has gravitas in this community, in this world. And so if they can share their story, their message, their insights in a book, that just kind of is a brand distinguisher. It sets them apart. And it also, from their competition. And so I think a lot of times we do have some people who have always wanted to write a book. They wanted to do a children's book, and we can help them fulfill their dream of, I've been wanting to do this for years, and now you've helped me do that. But for the most part, a lot of times there are people who hadn't really considered doing a book, but they see the value of having a book in terms of achieving other goals that they want to accomplish. And so it really is a broad range. If I'm doing we've got a lot of wonderful people who've just written a really precious children's book, and they just want to share these stories. Their kids or their grandkids loved it. That's a very different audience than somebody who is a professional coach or athlete and wants to share their story. So
you broached the subject of your clients differentiating themselves from their competition. What differentiates HigherLife Publishing? What makes you stand out among your competition?
Well, let me back off and say that in publishing, all publishing is not the same. There are really, from my perspective, there are really three basic publishing models. What most people think about is traditional publishing. And when I say traditional publishing, you typically have a manuscript or a proposal, and you have to find a literary agent who will then shop you to a publishing company. And if you can land that deal, the publishing company will say, Andrew, we think your message is so amazing that we're going to spend 100% of our money to get your book artfully, creatively developed and packaged and published. But to do that, you're going to have to assign your publishing rights to us. It's copyrighted in your name, so it's still your book. But in order for the publisher to take the risk, they want to have the final say. So you lose a measure of control. You're going to give them your publishing rights, and they'll pay you a royalty on what they sell. That's traditional publishing. On the other end of the spectrum, you have self-publishing, because on-demand printing and technology has made it easier to publish a book without having to print tens of thousands of copies. And so self-publishing is literally, it's kind of like the Wild West. You can do it yourself, where you're going to have to find the printer, the editor, the copy editor, the proof editor, and do all of the steps yourself. And there's 101 self-publishing companies. I kind of call them the wham bam thank you ma'am crowd, who will take a fee from you, take your money, package your book, give it back to you, and say, here's 50 copies. Bada bing, you're a published author. But what I find with most self-publishing is that the authors don't know what they don't know. And so most self-published books really don't have the level of quality, of development, of readability, of marketing that a traditionally published book has, because they paid a fee and they didn't know all of the things that should be included that frankly weren't, or they had stars in their eyes thinking that all I got to do is, it's kind of like Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. If I publish it, the world will magically buy copies, and that just doesn't turn out to be reality. So in my view, I seen the world be littered with disillusioned and disappointed authors, either because they couldn't get the traditional publishing deal they were hoping for, or they went the self-publishing route. And then when they got done, they realized it really wasn't as well done as they were hoping for. And so where HigherLife falls is, I said, there's got to be a door number three, a third option that can provide the quality, the development, the strategy, the distribution that you would hope for if you could do traditional publishing. But unless you're Denzel Washington or Kim Kardashian, you're never going to get that deal, because traditional publishers, they're not interested in your message nearly as much as your audience, your platform. So unless you have a massive database of people that follow you, no matter how good your message is, you're likely to never get a traditional publishing deal, because what they're really buying is access to your audience. So then you go the self-publishing route, and you found it was much more work and it wasn't as beneficial or as successful as you thought. So we created a hybrid model in between, where we act much more like traditional publishers in terms of the quality, the marketing, the strategy, the work level. I mean, I would compare our titles with any New York Times bestselling book you'll find on the shelf. But we're like self-publishers in that A, you're going to have some financial skin in the game, and B, you get to own your rights. So I would never call us a self-publisher just because the way we work is so much different. I can't honestly call us a traditional publisher, because you get to keep your rights and you have some financial investment there. So that's kind of the hybrid model where we fit. And when I first started the company, there wasn't hardly anybody doing that. Now there are some others who have sort of entered this space, but I just feel like we offer kind of the best of both worlds for somebody who really wants the development, the quality, the support. They want a team behind them, like if they could get a traditional publishing deal, but they get the financial benefit of owning their own rights, and being able to get their books at a much lower cost per book, so they make more on every book they sell. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I can't imagine traditional book deals going the way they used to, because as a consumer, I see fewer and fewer brick and mortar bookstores surviving in this climate to begin with. I mean, I can't tell you where the nearest bookstore is to where I live at the moment. It's just, they're not at every corner anymore. So the distribution has changed. So,
and I call it the dirty little secret of traditional publishing is they make all of their money on the top 10 to 15% of their lineup. So if you've got a traditional publisher that publishes 100 books a year, all of their money, all of their revenue, and therefore all of their attention, all of their marketing is on those top 15 to 20. Those are their quote A-list authors. So even if you're able to get a traditional published deal, that's great. Now you've got a real publisher and you didn't have to invest the money to get your book out, but you did give them their rights. But I find in fact, a lot of our clients initially were traditionally published, and they came to us because what they discovered is, I got the deal, but I was not the top tier. I was not an A-list author. And so my publisher didn't spend much of any time or attention. And I was buying my books back from my publisher, and I've sold more books than my publisher has. I hear that story over and over. So you've got an author that had a traditional publishing deal, and they've hustled and sold more of their books, but they don't own the rights, and they happen to buy their books back. Even if your publisher gives them a 60 or a 70% discount, you're still paying $7, $8 a book to sell. Whereas with us, it'd be much less than that. And so they're a little frustrated because it's, wait a minute, I'm selling more books than my publisher, but yet they own the rights and I still have to buy my books back from them at a wholesale rate, where I know my publisher's making good money on every book I buy from. So we do have some traditionally published authors who have realized that, frankly, we're just a better model for them. We're not the perfect model for everybody, but I do feel like we fill an important niche in the communication or in the publishing world.
excellent. Hey, there is no linear path anymore in just
Mhm.
about any industry, right? Everybody's got to find their own way. Um, when we talk about creative content, as creators, people always wanted their audience to have access to their content. You got to be careful what you wish for, because when you
Sure.
drop something on the net, there it is for the world to share, and it becomes harder and harder to monetize moving forward.
Well, and it's important that if you've got something of value that you want other people to benefit from or to hear, you want to put it in the format that makes the most sense for your end user. So it's like, why does People Magazine sell a subscription, but you can also buy it on the newsstand? Don't they compete with each other? Maybe, but I'll never pay for a subscription. But if I'm in an airport, I might pick up a copy on the newsstand. And so that's why if we publish a book, do we do it in print? Yes, because there are people who like the tactile feel of holding a book in their hands. Do we do it as an ebook? Yes, because some people want to download it on their phones and or their iPads and read it that way. Can we do an audiobook? Yes, because some people want to listen to it while they're working out at the gym. But, and you bring up another point, is if you've got great content, maybe it's a book, but maybe it needs to be developed into an online course. So if you're trying to do how to build a financial empire or how to retire early, your book isn't going to tell people everything they need to know about it, but it might be what gets them connected with you. And then they sign up for your seminar, or they sign up for your online course, or they become a client of yours. So a lot of our authors, I say a book is a nuclear business card. It's the new brochure. They use their book to generate a qualified lead, and they make their money not on publishing the books, but on the services that they sell. So it's like if you were a personal trainer, and you want to teach me how to lose 30 pounds in 30 days. Okay, reading a book isn't going to make me lose anything. All I want that book to do is make me want to lose weight, believe I can lose weight, and be convinced that your program is going to do that for me. If the book does that, then what's at the back of the book? What's my next thing is, well, I want to sign up for your exercise plan, or I'm going to buy your series of videos, and so again, there's so many different reasons to publish besides I just want to write the next great American novel, or and that's one of the things that I think sometimes surprises people, is that so many people want to publish for reasons other than I just love to write.
Well, you're leading into my next question, which is what
I paid to do that,
I throw you lobs, you throw me lobs. It's a
There you go.
relationship. What role has content played in the growth of your business?
Well, at the end of the day, we are content providers. And so, but content is a means to an end. Our tagline at HigherLife is helping our clients experience the thrill of making a difference. So to me, a book is a means to an end. Granted, there are some people who want to publish a book, and being a published author is their end. Okay, but for the most part, it's because they want to do something else. I just came back from a fundraising breakfast where the organization was providing resources for people kind of in between, down in their luck. And I spoke to the executive director afterwards. It was a powerful fundraising breakfast. I said, you need to do a book, because you've got so many success stories of people that you have helped them transition from being, in a really hard place in their life to success. And you can cast vision for other people and use that as a means to attract donors, or if you're wanting to open up a new branch in a new city where people don't already know about who you are. Again, a book is a great way to do that, because here's the thing. You can write a blog and it will get read until the next blog comes out. Same thing with a magazine article, till the next issue comes out. You can publish flyers. I go to a conference and I come home with a goodie bag, and the goodie bags, all of these flyers and stuff like that. not a one of them, gets filed anywhere other than in file 13. But if somebody puts a book in that goodie bag, it will make it home. The rest of them are usually on the credenza in the hotel because people don't throw away books. I might donate it to Goodwill, which just gives it another life after that. But it's like, I don't know about you, I can't throw away a book because a book still has value. And so if you've got something important to share, you can put it on a disc, you can put it on, you can share it in lots of different formats. You can teach a seminar, have people eating, especially if you're a great presenter, you can have people eating out of your hands until they hit the parking lot. Then their phones go off and life hits them and the moment's gone. But if they take that book home with them that they picked up at the back of the room, think about this. Somebody reads your message, they're spending 4, 5, 6 hours of time, and it's fairly solitary time, whether they're reading it before they go to bed at night or sitting in the john. The point is they're spending time with your message, and you have a lot more time and opportunity to get your values, your message, your story across to people. And so I just think in so many ways, publishing a book is just it's a vehicle. It's a way to get information into the hands of people and help them in ways that complement the seminars and the magazine articles and the podcasts, things like that.
Excellent. Hey, you provide a very important service. It's a tangible thing. No, I can't throw out a book. I can't even imagine pitching a book. It has to continue to live. Let's switch gears for a second. Tell me about the COVID years and how you managed to, ford that stream and continue to grow your business through COVID.
We're very blessed in that the COVID didn't really hurt us in some areas. I think it may have helped us, Andrew, in that there were people who were stuck at home, couldn't go into the office, and they found themselves with some margin and some times. And I talked to a lot of people who had maybe entertained or thought about the idea of writing a book, but if they were putting on their work outfit and going into the office every day, and now all of a sudden they have to be home, and maybe they didn't even go back to the office after sort of the mandates were over, and they used that time to say, I'm going to get started, or they at least started their manuscript, or they gave it some thought. And so in some ways, I think that COVID benefited us because it changed the day-to-day routine of people who had maybe thought about, considered, wondered about if they should do a book. Now they had some different space, some different time, and they moved forward. And then, as often happens, they get partway into it and realize, I'm not sure what the heck I'm doing here, and I need a publisher, and who can help me? And so in some regards, I think the COVID years helped us. We did have office space for a number of years, but we started working virtually even before COVID. So again, I'm coming to you live from my office den. And so COVID really didn't impact, office visits. In fact, if anything, it's been helpful for me in building a first-class team, because as you can imagine, with an office situation, you have to hire people who are within driving distance of that office. Whereas I've got project managers and team members who are in Arkansas or South Carolina or Michigan. And the technology allows us to have team meetings, to meet with authors virtually. And so it's really been good and easy for us. It's interesting, I'm a fairly type A extroverted person, but for whatever reason, working from home hasn't been a difficulty. I think in part just because of this. I get to talk to cool people and fun people all through the day.
Excellent. Well, hey, the remote thing doesn't work for everybody. it works for a lot of people, myself included. And, we gotta work with the tools at our disposal at the moment, and
Sure.
the reality as it is here in 2023. All right, look down the road a year. What are some things you'd like to be celebrating personally and professionally?
Well, I would love to find a healthy transition for higher life. I'm 67. I've been doing this. I still love what I do. I still have a ton of energy, but it would be fun to take maybe a different role within the organization, or have a handoff there, because I've started saying to my wife, okay, where do we want to go? I'm blessed to say that I'm happily married. Our kids are grown, and so I'd love to travel. I don't have any desire to retire in the traditional sense, because I frankly would go stir crazy. I have too much energy, but it would be fun to maybe shift into more of a mentoring role. I enjoy pouring into other people. And so I would say the biggest thing on the horizon for me is just, what is the next year or two going to look like for me in terms of this company that I started, that is doing well, that I still enjoy, but I want to make sure that it has opportunity, because we have a stable 200 plus really gifted authors, and I want to make sure that they're all well taken care of and served well. And I, at the end of the day, I've figured out I'm a creative person. I love helping people coming up with great titles and subtitles and creative covers and creative ways to market their book and think outside the box. And so I will always enjoy being involved in that and making connections. I actually like having kind of conversations like I'm having with you with people, where I can maybe envision them. Have you ever thought about doing a book? I mean, how could a book help you accomplish your vision, your mission, your calling? I get a tremendous amount of satisfaction of giving people aha moments to consider new ways of connecting with their audience, and creative ways to do that. So it allows me to scratch that creative itch part of who I am, the relational part of who I am. And it's something I enjoy doing. So I don't know, I ramble a little bit, forgive me. What was the question?
All good. Please tell us, what's your URL? Where can people find Higher Life Publishing and Marketing, and what social media channels are you using these days?
Our web address is www.ahigherlife.com. That's ahigherlife.com. It's funny, when I started the company, I wanted to just buy Higher Life, and somebody owned it and wanted way too much money, so I just made it A Higher Life. So that's our web address, and we're obviously on the internet. I think we're on Facebook and Instagram, and I'm still haven't gotten used to saying X, but
nobody says Meta either, right?
Yeah, there you go. See, there you go. So we are on some of those social media channels. We do put out a complimentary e-newsletter twice a month, just for people who are interested in leadership principles. In fact, I write more about life and leadership than I do publishing, because those are areas that are just passionate for me, and we do that. So those are some of the things that we do. I had something else that came into my mind and out again. So
stream of unconsciousness.
It happens all the time.
Yeah. Left turn, Clyde. David Welday of Higher Life Publishing and Marketing, thank you for spending some time with us today on Business Ninjas. I appreciate what you do. All the best to you and yours, and to a Higher Life, and all the best in the future.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Andrew.